is often said that there would be only 5 kings or 5 queens in this world, 4 in the deck of cards and 1 in England. But nobody ever calculated that there would be a dynasty in India that has been flourishing for quite some time. Yes, I'm speaking of the Gandhi dynasty. Now, yesterday, or 2 days back, 23 Congress leaders sent a letter asking for some genuine changes. One is they wanted a permanent Congress president and not a standby or an interim president. They wanted a face in the All India Congress Committee in Delhi. And they want someone who can take decisions or workers can approach. Nothing wrong in this particular letter. But then many saw this as a revolt against Sonia Gandhi, more so a revolt against the Gandhis, that is Sonia, Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi. And that divided the Congress. And that is going to be the reason for weakening the Congress also. What is the genesis of this letter? Many of the senior Congress leaders like, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Veerappa Moily, Kapil Sibal, Manish Tiwari, all these people, they were sidelined by Rahul Gandhi. He was not the Congress president, but he took all the decisions. He never consulted these leaders, but then took the decisions. So he's actually a very clever man. He's not the Congress president, but when Congress loses, he does not take the responsibility either. So this is what upsets senior leaders. There should be someone who can lead, who can accept that, yes, we did things wrong and correct the party. But now there is nobody. So Rahul Gandhi does not want to take responsibility, but act as somebody, as the president from behind the scenes. And that is where the problem lies. So in a series of moves, what he has been doing is he has been isolating these leaders. These leaders have been telling him, please change your strategy. Do not criticize Narendra Modi. Instead of that, offer something to the people, offer something to the middle class. But he doesn't listen. Every time, every day, he tweets against just one person, Narendra Modi. And Narendra Modi is today the icon of the youth. So the youth or the youngsters have started moving away from the Congress, and that is the problem that the Congress has today. The earliest revolt against the Gandhi started way back in 1969, when, leaders like K. Kamaraj, very, very senior leaders, K. Kamaraj, Morarji Desai and all, opposed Mrs. Gandhi. She was at that time very young. And, she was expelled from the Congress for anti-party activities, for violating party norms. But then what she did was she broke away from the Congress and formed what is called the Congress R. But since it is very, very important here. Now, on the one hand, you had senior leaders like, Kamaraj, Morarji Desai, very, very senior leaders. And on the other side, we had Mrs. Gandhi in 1961, who was young and who was the face of the revolt. So what happened? Very, very, very nice thing happened at that time. A very strange thing happened at that time. All the youngsters went towards Mrs. Gandhi. And then all the young leaders also backed Mrs. Gandhi. And her breakaway party emerged as the strongest party. And the others, that is old-timers or old guards, were left behind. Then what happened was the next revolt came in 1991. Or revolt, there was not a revolt actually. In 1991, we had a very strong Congress leader taking over, and that was P.V. Narasimha Rao. Between 1991 and 1999, he was bold enough, along with Manmohan Desai, he was bold enough to have a series of reforms that actually benefited young India. And he earned a mark. But look at what happened to him. When he died, his body was not even allowed to be kept in the AICC. The body was flown to Hyderabad, and his body was kept in the Jubilee Halls in Hyderabad, and Jubilee Hall in Hyderabad. And then that is because he was a non-Gandhi. And that is where, you find that the Congress party is wedded to the Gandhis. The next revolt came between 1997 and 1999. Now here what happened was Mrs. Sonia Gandhi became a primary member of the Congress. And within 1 year, the Congress leaders or a section of the Congress leaders wanted her to be the prime ministerial candidate. And this was opposed by a lot of senior leaders like Sharad Pawar, Tariq Anwar, P.A. Sangma. And what happened at that time? all the people who were pro-Gandhi expelled senior leaders like Sharad Pawar, then P.A. Sangma, Arjun Singh, and others from the party, and they formed all the regional parties, again a split. Even at that time, it is Gandhis who became supreme. That is, Congress was identified as the party of the Gandhis. Congress was never identified as the party of the people. And that is the mistake that the Congress party is doing today. It is never seen as a party of the people. It is seen as a party of the Gandhis. And it is very unfortunate that, party leaders, the Pradesh Congress party leaders are now backing a leadership that has absolutely no clue how to fight Narendra Modi or the BJP. Now look at the strange situation. You have PCC members in Andhra Pradesh who are backing Mrs. Gandhi. And what is the Congress in Andhra Pradesh? Just a signboard party. Absolutely no backing of the people. And without backing of the people, they are now backing Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. What happens if there is an election? Again, the party is going to lose. It is high time that the Congress should rethink its strategy. Just get away from this, phobia of having a Gandhi on top of the leadership. Have somebody who's young and vibrant, and that is where the future of the Congress would be. Unless it thinks that way, I think the Congress would be doomed. A time would come when even the 44 seats that it has in the Lok Sabha would one day vanish. Ever since 2004 and 2009, the Congress has been really on an upswing. But after 2009, there was absolute devastation in the Congress. They have been losing the center, they have been losing states. From an outstanding number, they were reduced to just 44 in the Lok Sabha. And who is to blame for this? It was Rahul Gandhi who led the campaign. Now here we have a situation where 23 leaders are asking for a permanent president. But nobody wants to become the president. The Gandhis, I mean. Sonia Gandhi is unwell. She's 73. She cannot hold a permanent post. Rahul Gandhi has been a princess in waiting for quite some time, and now he does not want the throne at all. Priyanka Gandhi has openly written a letter stating that she does not want to be the Congress president, and that she's willing to work with under anyone, and even if she's told to work in Andamans and Nicobar Islands, she would go. So here we have a situation where the Gandhis do not want to take the throne, and the Gandhis are not allowing the others to take the throne either. And this is a farcical situation. Now, after the 23 people wrote the letter to the Congress chief, that is Sonia Gandhi, the Congress AICC met yesterday. And here we saw a revolt between pro-Gandhi people and anti-Gandhi people. Actually, there is nothing called an anti-Gandhi people. It is pro-reform people. And unfortunately, these people who asked for reforms were silenced, which means the Congress is going to go into a serious decline in the future. And the only person who is going to benefit from this would be Narendra Modi and the BJP. So finally, we come back to the drama of yesterday at the All India Congress Committee meeting. Now, I would recall Rahul Gandhi's words. He said, it was not his fault that he was born into the Gandhi families, but he does not want to take over or, be the natural heir apparent to the Congress party, and that he's willing to give up and he's willing to sacrifice the president post for the party. Priyanka Gandhi also wants to do that. Sonia Gandhi wants to resign. But this is all a farcical drama because, the Congress party cannot exist without a Gandhi label to it. The hashtag for the Congress has to be Gandhi. This is because the Gandhi is only a glue that can hold the Fissiparis party, the leaders, together. Now, who are the next leaders who can come and hold the party? There are various leaders. You have senior leaders like, Antony. We have senior leaders like Chidambaram, young Shashi Tharoor, young Pilot. All these people are there, they're coming up. But the seniors don't allow these people to come. Take the example of Ashok Gehlot. In Rajasthan, when the drama played out, Ashok Gehlot had a very, very strange statement. He said, just because somebody can speak English and he's good looking and he can give interviews to TVs. On the one hand, Rahul does not want to become the Congress president. On the other hand, he wants to take all the decisions, and this has led to the serious decline. And in between, Sonia Gandhi is silent. She does not take any decision because she's unwell. She's 73 years old and she has major problems on hand. Of course, that's all right. But this should not be at the cost of the Congress party. The Congress party is the only viable opposition to the BJP. Now, with this revolt and this revolt dying down in favor of the Gandhis, has resulted only in one thing, as I said before, it is going to favor the BJP in future. And with elections just another 3 or 4 years ahead, what is the Congress trying to do? Now, they have Bihar elections coming in. They have other Kerala elections coming in. Now, if all these elections the Congress starts losing, then they have no hope in the Lok Sabha elections in Delhi. So this decline should stop. And this is not the first time that there has been a revolt against the Gandhis. There has been a long history, and in this long history, there has been revolt against the Gandhis, and it has been put down to the advantage of the Congress. But this time, there is a revolt against the Gandhis, but the party is going to suffer because you have weak leaders. Earlier, you had very strong leaders. Mrs. Indira Gandhi, against whom there was a revolt. But then she was able to come out and she led the party. That was because she was young, she was vibrant, she was dynamic, she represented the youth of India. And that is what's going to be the difference. But Rahul Gandhi is neither representing the youth, nor is he representing reforms, and he has nothing on agenda to offer to the people. This is going to become a major problem for the Congress party. And this is where it should start thinking. The Congress party also has a serious problem in turning left. That is, they are pro-left in the sense that they have ideologies which are not very, very in tune with the young India today. Mrs. Gandhi, that is Indira Gandhi, had vision for the youth. P.V. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh, when he was the finance minister, had a lot of vision for youngsters. Now, what is the vision that Rahul Gandhi has for youngsters today? He has nothing except criticize Modi. So this serious left turn of the Congress should stop. The phobia for Gandhis should stop. And more than anything else, the Congress party should be ready for a serious introspection and see how they can take the party forward and not how they can take the Gandhis forward. Unless and until this happens, the Congress will have a major problem on hand. And let me tell you now itself that if this party goes like this towards the next election, they are going to lose state after state. They are going to lose the center. They're going to lose everything until a period comes when it is very difficult to rescue the Congress party. Only a miracle or a major leader who would have to emerge from within the ranks would be able to pull the Congress up. And that is not going to be Rahul Gandhi. That is not going to be Sonia Gandhi. And that is not going to be Priyanka Gandhi either. So where is the hope for the Congress? It will have to put all its heads together, should think seriously, should leave personal egos aside. And the war between the old guards and the young people should end. And only if sacrifices are made, there is a future for the Congress. Unless and until that happens, the Congress is going to be a doomed party. I hope that they think, they introspect, and they emerge as a young party of the future. And that is where there is a future for the Gandhis. And that is where there is a future for the Congress.